Hi everyone, thanks so much for taking the time to watch our video. We're really excited to share with you guys what we've learned in Sleep and Dreams, one of our classes at Stanford that was really fascinating and super practical for us. Most of you who are receiving this video have pretty messed up sleep schedules, so hopefully this helps. I'm Akshath and I'm joined by Parker and David, and we're going to walk you through the science of sleep and why it matters more than you might think.
So here's what we'll cover today. We'll start by explaining how sleep actually works, the different stages, and how our internal body clock keeps us on schedule. Then we'll dive into how sleep debt builds up, some sleep disorders, and major myths people believe about sleep. We'll also explain what affects sleep quality, what happens when you don't get enough sleep, and why our class motto, drowsiness is red alert, really matters.
Awesome. Thank you, Parker. And so first, let's start off with the sleep cycle, which repeats about every 90 minutes throughout the night. So when you first start to fall asleep, you're going to be entering N1 sleep, and this is the light transition into sleep. This is where you start to see your breathing become slower, your muscles may start to twitch, and if you're looking at an EEG machine, you can see brain activity slow and theta waves start to appear. This is also the stage where you think you're actually awake, when in fact you're asleep, and you can actually end up doing a lot of different behaviors during the N1 stage of sleep. The next stage that you're going to enter is N2 sleep, and this is where your body spends about half of your time sleeping. Here, you're going to start to see your body temperature dropping, your breathing and heart rate slowing, and also brain activity slowing as you start to see spindles and K complexes within a brain scan, and this can really help with memory consolidation. Next, you're going to enter N3 sleep, which is the deepest stage of sleep. This is where your body starts to heal, regrow tissue, and where breathing is at its slowest. This is also where delta waves start to appear. Lastly, the final stage is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movements. And this is where the body goes into paralysis in order to prevent the body from acting out the vivid dreams that we experience during this stage of sleep. Over the course of a typical night, you're going to average go through 4 to 6 cycles of sleep before waking up. And as the night goes on, N3 sleep stage gets shorter and the REM stage gets longer.
Next, we're going to talk about the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is basically your internal 24-hour clock, which is governed by your suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is in your hypothalamus, which is in your brain. It basically controls whenever you feel sleepy or awake by influencing hormones like melatonin and cortisol, as well as your internal and external body temperature. Light is the biggest thing that regulates this clock. So when we stay up late on screens late in some circumstances or fly across time zones, it can throw everything off. And this is really important because disruptions to circadian rhythm are linked to things like insomnia, mood disorders, and can even cause chronic diseases like obesity and diabetes.
So now let's talk about sleep debt. Sleep debt builds up every time you don't get enough sleep. For example, if you need 8 hours of sleep but only get six, now you owe your body 2 hours. A few missed hours here and there can be recovered with good rest, but chronic sleep debt, like pulling all-nighters or sleeping 5 to 6 hours regularly, can't be fully repaid. Long term, it leads to issues with your concentration, learning, immune function, and increases the risk of serious conditions like depression and cardiovascular disease.
Now we're going to go into sleep disorders. And there are many sleep disorders, and most people don't even realize that they have them. For example, we have insomnia, which affects over 1 in 3 adults at some point in their lives and is often caused due to stress or poor sleep habits. Next, we have sleep apnea, which is a condition where breathing repeatedly stops during sleep. It's common and dangerous and often linked to snoring. That's why sleep should normally be silent. And then we have narcolepsy, which causes uncontrollable sleep attacks, even during conversations or while eating. And lastly, we have restless leg syndrome, which creates an irresistible urge to move your legs at night, making it difficult to fall asleep. And now sleep disorders are treatable, but only if people recognize the symptoms and get treatment.
Yeah, so now let's debunk some pretty common sleep myths that I've heard. Number one, snoring is harmless. It's really not. Snoring often signals airway blockage and may even indicate obstructive sleep apnea, which increases the risk of heart disease, strokes, and other daytime accidents. Myth number two is that you can catch up on sleep later. If prolonged sleep um, debt occurs, sleep isn't really like a bank account where you could just refill that overnight, right? Long periods of lost deep sleep and REM sleep are really hard to fully recover from, even with extra sleep on weekends. Your brain performance can possibly not go back to baseline. Third is that blue light is the main problem with screens at night. It's not. The main issue is actually mental stimulation. Scrolling social media or answering emails keeps your brain active, making it harder to sleep. Plus, if you're exposed to a lot of natural light during the day, blue light at night is less harmful.
So, what affects your sleep quality? Several factors affect your sleep quality, and many of them are fixable. The first thing is mouth breathing or jaw issues can block airflow, especially in kids or people with misaligned jaws or people that are overweight. Sleep schedule helps your circadian rhythm stay in sync. So, going to bed and waking up at the same time matters, even on weekends. The third thing is caffeine and alcohol can mess with deep sleep and REM sleep, especially when consumed late. And most importantly, stress is a huge driver of insomnia. Racing thoughts can activate your sympathetic nervous system and delay the ability to fall asleep.
And so now we're going to talk about the cost of no sleeping. So the lack of sleep affects the entire body, from the brain to the immune system. You're going to start to see slower reaction times, worse memory, and also impaired decision making. Physically, it increases the risk of hypertension, stroke, diabetes, and inflammation. And in severe cases like untreated sleep apnea, the risk of early death rises dramatically. One study showed a 33% higher mortality rate over 14 years. It's not just about feeling tired, it's about long-term health.
And that brings us to our class motto, drowsiness is red alert. Feeling drowsy, especially when driving, is a serious danger. In fact, some studies show that being awake for 18 hours or more can impair driving as much as being legally drunk. This is because you have something called microsleeps, which is where your brain shuts off for 1 to 2 seconds. That can happen without warning. And at 60 miles per hour, that's more than enough to cause a fatal crash. So if you're sleepy, don't power through because rest is literally life-saving.
Thanks again for watching. We hope this helped you understand the science of sleep and why it's critical to your health. If there's one thing to remember, it's this: don't ignore your sleep. It affects everything from your mood and memory to your safety and future. So stay rested and remember, draft is red alert.